Welcome to the Theatre of Others podcast. My name is Adam Marple, and I'm the co-artistic director of the Theatre of Others. With the COVID-19 pandemic forcing a shutdown and reevaluation of space and gathering, we at the Theatre of Others are thinking about what stories we need and how best we can share them. We believe space is psychology, and it informs the way in which an audience interacts and reacts to what is presented to them. We create uniquely theatrical events in bespoke sensory performance spaces crafted to encourage curiosity and grant the audience permission to commune with the play. Now that space has moved online, how can we encourage interaction and action amongst an audience virtually? The Theatre of Others produces plays that both welcome and challenge the audience. We are committed to international collaboration and are a laboratory that helps artists grow through intensive study of their craft. The Theatre of Others creates a shared community of artists and audiences for the purpose of exploring the most profound issues of our lives and times. We believe the play watches the audience. The audience is necessary, and they are witness to what happens. And you get to be witness to us making that happen. The purpose of this podcast is to open up our process and let you in. We're peeling back the curtain, so to speak, and encouraging you to follow along, to ponder, prod, and question, to join us and criticize us if need be. Being a witness is no passive task, and it requires much from you. Are you up for the journey? On the podcast today from Melbourne, Australia, are co-artistic directors Budi Miller and myself in Cairo, Egypt. This podcast contains explicit language.
Hi, Adam.
Hi. We're just branding the hell out of it today, aren't we?
How you going?
It's early. But how are you?
You need to tilt your hat. You need to tilt your hat down. Now I know how you're going. You're in other two, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the whole podcast like this.
Okay. All right. I'll do the whole podcast like this. I think I just.
Do you think I'm this is heavy-handed?
It's a bit overt, but you know.
You gotta stick your chest out more.
There we go.
There we go.
People on YouTube are going to get getting a really good one today.
Well, so for you listeners, we're just letting you know that our merch is still on sale.
Yeah.
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 What don't you have of our merchandise, Adam Marple?
What don't I have? I don't have our yoga pants. I haven't bought the yoga pants. Yeah.
Now these yoga pants, do they flare at the bottom?
No, they're
like
not
a proper yoga pant.
They're not dancing pants from the 70s.
Oh, those are 70s dance pants. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
getting confused. Yeah.
Yeah. I also have
The tote.
Our tote.
Yes, I love the tote.
With the back that says, come on, work with the camera.
What does the back say? Come on now. People are waiting. Be another two. Dun 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 dun. I love that. I love that tote.
I love the back too. It's cool.
It's very good.
Yeah.
I don't have it, but the embroidered hoodie.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one, baby.
It's a pretty one.
That's the one.
I actually have. So one of my students recently subscribed to the podcast and has fallen in love with it, and so is saying like, what should I listen to now? And like she's listening to like 3 a day because we have these long commutes to the theater for the show we're doing, and so she said, if I listen to all 165 of them, will you get me a hat? And I said, you know what? Yeah, if you listen to all 165 and leave a comment, I will buy you a hat. So
whoa, that's a good deal.
I know,
Maybe
right?
we should tell everyone that.
We will go bankrupt.
You listen to all 165. Give us a comment for every single one. Give us 5 stars for every single one.
I mean, is
that kind of like buying our viewers?
It is. We are
or listeners.
We are doing the Instagram, bot thing. Like we buy our subscribers, we buy our followers, but it would drive up our algorithm. So
people would know. People would
will
know.
That's true.
Maybe we need to offer merch.
There you go. If you there you go, listener. If you leave us a review on YouTube and on Spotify or Apple and
Yeah.
leave us a 5-star, we'll
Yeah.
send
On
you a
every
hat.
single episode,
On every single episode, we will send you a hat. Anywhere in the
you have
world.
earned a hat. You have earned a hat.
Or a tote bag. Or
Or a tote bag. Hat or a tote bag. Yes, that's good. Or a water bottle, the famous water bottle.
everybody likes a water bottle. That's true.
Yeah, it is. I think I'm gonna have a sip, a libation from the water
You know
bottle.
what? You know what? You've inspired me. Here we go.
Delicious.
Delicious.
So hydrated from that theater of what is the Instagram thing? Me and my theater others. You too can be another too. Well, I think if that doesn't work, Adam, we're never going to sell anything.
Please listen to our podcast. We'll send you a hat.
Yes, exactly. We pay our audience. We pay our audience for coming to see our stuff.
We doubly pay. We give this information away for free and hats.
And you can get a hat. So what are we getting out of it, Adam Marple?
Love.
Yes, it's we love to love.
Oh, man.
We love to love, baby. Ooh, love to love, baby. I love to love, baby. You like my light? I still have my my harsh.
No, it's good. It's nice.
It's kind of strong.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Got that in the pretty pink sweater. Glow. It's nice.
Is it pretty pink? I am pretty in pink, aren't I?
Yeah.
My pretty in pink sweater. And my black hat.
What is it? What's it say on it? Okay.
Read it.
Hashtag. I guess that's New York hashtag.
Well, have you been
It's
you been
reversed
away
for
that
me.
long?
It's reversed for me, so I'm assuming that's a
But
Yankees
still,
hat.
come on,
Yeah,
Adam
okay.
Marple.
All right, it's a Yankees hat.
Don't play naive.
I couldn't make it out.
Let me read yours. Let me read yours.
What's that? Is that?
The theater of others.
Yeah. What is that?
Be an other. Wow, that's a really nice hat. Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that hat?
This is just this. This is episode 160.
www.theaterofothers.com/
Merch.
boom.
This is
Wow.
episode 165, the merchandise episode.
The actors merchandise
Actors merchandise.
episode.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, that's the thing. It's like we have props to give. We have things to do. We have opinions. We have merch. We have now we're dealing with what, Adam? Books, education.
Yes, of course, yes.
We're constantly giving you things. Just like I give you that segue.
Yes.
I put it right in your lap.
Yeah, thank you. I like having.
It was a
book put in my lap.
low dangling piece of fruit.
Book.
I have to say piece of fruit because if I say dangling fruit, you know what I think.
Well, you were talking about my lap, so yeah.
You have fruit. You have a dangling fruit in your lap.
I have a book in my lap. That's what I have in my lap today.
Oh, may we? You've been reading. What? Pray tell. What have you been reading, Adam Marple?
I've been reading, and I'm hoping all of our listeners have been joining us on this journey of
We have a book club.
We have a book club. Our first book up for the book club. Indeed, yes. And this was your choice. This was your pick.
Yeah. So should I talk about why?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Well, I think the major reason why is because it's considered a classic book the genre of actors training. There's mask work, philosophy inside of it. There's status. There's storytelling. There's devising. It was a book that many acting teachers have used as kind of a staple as an interest into looking at theater, and you know he's the godfather of status work. So and status is a very big part of my training as well. So I wanted to go into this book because I would dabble in bits and parts of it, and now I've actually realized why I would only like nibble sections of it, and I never until now fully sunk into the whole book. So that's why.
Okay.
My question, Adam,
Mm-hmm.
is what you think.
We talked about this a little bit. I think there are some really, really great sections of this book that I'm not sure if make up for the not so great sections of this book. And I'm really kind of surprised why nobody has taken this as a starting point to talk. Like, I mean, literally, I have never ever heard status being picked up by anybody and expanded on. Like, this is the first time I am coming across something like this, and I think yes, this is really amazing. The status stuff is really kind of amazing, and then it ends here, and I'm just kind of surprised that nobody has done that because the book is problematic in a lot of other places.
Okay, so what are the problems?
In the words of comedian John Oliver, it is offensively British.
And can you be more specific in the words of somebody else? Maya Angelou. When people show you who they are, believe them.
Yeah, I mean,
Time.
it is quasi-racist every 15 pages.
Can you? Okay, Adam. Pray tell. So give me an example. What specifically?
I mean, there are specific stories, there are anecdotes, it's just problematic language because it's a book written in a very different time.
Okay, so the African and the photographer.
Yes,
So an African and a photographer walk into a bar.
so a white photographer is in Africa, and an black African tribesman kill his friend, and the white photographer starts crying, and they take pity on him, and they decide to let him go. Like, that's a story. That's a story. I don't know what the point of it.
It's a story on status.
I don't know what the point of that is. Yeah, exactly. But that's a story.
Well, let's talk about the different titles to chapters.
Okay.
Cripples is the second title. It's the second chapter. Second
Indeed.
section of the first chapter.
Yeah.
Cripples.
Yep.
We also have a psychotic girl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it for that chapter. Now, when you go to Cripples, what is the main subject matter of Cripples?
Oh man, I just flipped past it. It's gonna take me some. You're gonna have to. I can't. I don't recommend doing this on a Kindle. I miss flipping pages because this is the problem.
You need to pay. Well, look, this is the other thing. So, okay, we're talking about how problematic the text is. The funny thing is, I went to Drama Bookstore, the consummate bookstore on anything theater.
Yeah.
They don't even sell it in a Drama Bookstore anymore.
Really? Interesting.
No, it's not. It's not in the collection. You have to special order it.
I mean, maybe there's a reason I never came across it. I have never, in all of my reading, studying, going to school, I never came across it. Nobody ever mentioned it to me.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean,
Really?
I had heard about it over the years since then, but in school, in all of my schooling, I never came across it, and I didn't experience it until last September. Last September is when the first time I found somebody who actually teaches it and uses it in their work, and it was just the status work. And so I actually,
who was the person?
I talked about them in the last podcast. Olive, Pasha Supple-Still,
Oh
and
yeah,
Sam
Olive with a
Harris.
beautiful name.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, yeah, exactly. And the work in it is like the status work is, okay. So not every book has everything you need,
yeah,
right?
true, true.
And I think his ways of, well, we were talking about status. We keep talking about status.
Hmm.
But what about the status for you in this book was with I was like, is there a redemption? Does he redeem himself? And
I
what
mean,
redeemable qualities of the status are important for, maybe even an actor or a reader or someone who's interested in this work to find in a PDF somewhere online?
it was just, it was clear. It was the, I mean, and like I
Yeah,
said before, it's the first time I've ever come across the word status and using status. I mean, of course, we've doing Shakespeare and doing all these things. Yes, we have
no,
class and
you've seen status in my work, like when I have
well, of
actors
course,
work with status.
but where did you get it from? That's what I'm saying from. Like, there's nobody else out there who was dealing with it. So everybody who is dealing with it is getting it through that. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like that is actually, I don't want to say revolutionary, but it's important. It's important in the theater history world, the theater actor training world, that status thing. And so actually being able to read it after experiencing it in a workshop, it clarified it for me. If
Big
if
time.
there was just a small pamphlet on status, then that would be good. Edited
Well, that's
for
yeah.
time and clarity and racism, but yes.
Well, that that's it. But like also, the mask work is something that he was also known for. So what were your challenges with the mask section?
Well, I mean, there's a quasi anthropological the more than half of the mask session is quasi anthropology, like, again, anecdotes about other people's experiences that he's heard about. If this were my first experience with mask, I guess that would be, it might be interesting, but because I'm going
Yeah,
through you,
yeah,
I kind of looking at this, I'm just kind of like, dude, I think at this point I know more about masks than you do, and I'm not a mask teacher, and I don't experience mask on a daily basis. So it was interesting, and so maybe as a first look into it, but because he's so fascinated with trance, because he's so
and he's wrong about trans.
right, but he spends so much time talking about it. Like I would actually be
Yeah,
if I were a student, I would be afraid of actually doing mask work after reading his chapters.
that's true. And it's like, but okay, so trans.
Mm,
Trans is literally having a spirit into your body and take over your body.
mhm.
That's trans. I highly doubt.
Yes.
I mean, I could even say that I would guess 100%
Hmm.
that any of the masks that he was working with,
Yeah.
any of the paper mache,
Paper
possibly
mache.
leather masks
Yeah.
that he was working with,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
irrevocably
Dude.
did not have a spirit in them to take someone else into a spirit realm where their body has become a vessel for a god or a demon.
Yeah.
I guarantee that. And I would challenge anyone who says that they witnessed it, that it was present, and
Yeah.
that they have footage of it. If you have footage of it, I want to see the footage
Yeah.
because I have witnessed what trance is, specifically from Africa.
Mm.
Both of my no, and I also experienced it in ballet as well,
Yeah.
and I have video of it, and I have students that were with me when we witnessed it.
Yeah.
It was quite beautiful because when you're actually in that energy is really it's such a high level of cleanliness that you actually do feel the God coming through the person. It was when I was beginning my research.
Mm.
And I remember because Vanessa, it was Yao, it was Karina, it was Ruzaini, um, uh, and uh, and Nick,
Mm-hmm.
and wait, the whole class went, didn't they?
Probably.
And they were with me, and it was Odalan, which is the birthday of the temple, and I was specifically asking for permission to do my research on Taksu and to begin my PhD research, and every single person that was in trance stopped directly in front of me and communicated with me, like, and I have videos of it. They would every single time they got close to me, the person that was in trance would activate. They dance, they scream, they laugh, and it was the gods giving me permission to go on my journey with my research.
Yeah.
The other two times that I witnessed trance were my teacher, um, Osita Okagwe. He had that was my PhD supervisor. When I began my PhD research from Goldsmiths, he had a whole file of uh, people in a tribe in Nigeria that were in trance, and they were jumping off of roofs, landing on their butts, and they were fine. They'd stand up, and then they just once again they jump off the roof and land on their butts. They jump off really high things and land on their butts, and it didn't affect their bodies at all. And then the first time that I ever witnessed the energy of it was when my director Esiabe Arobi, who's no longer with us and he's one of my mentors, took me to the Bob's library at NYU because he had a spool, like a spool of film
Mm-hmm.
that, and the only way we could watch it was to go into the library and use their equipment. And he had a spool of film recording a Nigerian dancer, a female dancer, in trance, and I literally felt my body change while watching it. That's not happening in a paper mache mask.
You mean you've never experienced trance when putting a mask on a student for the first time? Wow.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because there is a vibrational commitment to not only the person that's going into trance, but the community that's surrounding them to support them to go into trance. That's what Death and the
Oh,
King's Horseman, the play Death and the King's Horseman, is all about.
okay. Jack has just texted, "What is trance?"
So, trance, Jack, is when um, a person, uh, their body gets taken over by a spirit, and the spirit animates their body. And that, like, so if I go into trance, you won't see Budi anymore. An actual spirit will come in and take over my body. There's a dance it's called the Sanyang dance in Bali, where a little virgin girl who does Balinese dance stands on the shoulder of a man, and they in order to heal the gods come in to heal the village. The little girl goes into trance, and she literally levitates. She arches so far back that she defies gravity, and both the man and the girl are in trance. And that god that comes in is coming in to heal the village. That's not going to happen in a math class. You got to be there's a and this is where that's also where the ketchak choral singing comes from as well. It's to create the vibration so people can go into trance. Cha, 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 cha. and you have like 50 men chanting inside it, and Chidibo, Chidibo, and it moves the whole village. That's not happening in a math class. That's not happening in a British man's class
in the 1970s. Yeah, it's
in the
not
1970s. It's not ever going to happen.
with paper mache.
But what will happen in mask is you'll see the body transform so that the mask comes alive, so it seems like they're not wearing a mask at all. And that is what the potential of every human body, of being able to take on and embody an image that transforms the way that you know your body to move normally
Yeah.
into whatever the quality of that the image is asking you to do. This is why there's no such thing as abstract movement.
Yeah.
If the human body can do it, it's just movement.
True.
So yeah, but what happens is there's this romanticism, and I
Yes.
think for me, when you're talking about trance in that way, it is a really strong version of appropriation. It's an appropriation of terms, because trance is a very sacred, important part of indigenous cultures. It's where shamans heal.
Yeah. There's a lot of wishing in that chapter. He's wishing to legitimize what he's doing by showing, look, this goes back millennia. People go into this all the time. So if your student acts a little crazy, if your student acts a little kooky, if your student does this, encourage it, because masks are there to go into trance for. So it's
Well, we're not allowed to use the crazy word anymore. That's off the list.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is kooky on the list?
I'm using his language, so that's.
I know. Are we allowed to use kooky? No. This is a serious question, because I'm these words keep getting canceled, so I don't even know anymore. Are we allowed to use kooky?
I think as long as we're ignorant about what it could possibly be, we have. I don't know.
Can we say dingleberry?
No, I'm sorry, we can't say dingleberry. Somebody was offended.
Why?
By that. Because somebody was offended by that. Because it's
by the Dingleberry Institute.
The Dingleberry Institute called and said, please stop using our name to describe
the crazy.
Crazy, yeah. It's like, don't say that word. We're gonna get demonetized.
I know, I'm not allowed to say that word. I know. We got money?
Yes, we have so much merch going out the door because people are buying our merch.
Yeah. Just sell. So
Yeah.
but what's and this is the thing, this is the challenge, because the time period in which this was written, it was a huge revelation for the West,
Yeah.
right? For actors training.
Yes.
But you also had the Italians, though. You had Italians that had a whole mask tradition. So we're looking at the British and the British Academy, and to give the old guy some help. I don't doubt that he wasn't a strong influence on the theater and actors, because
I'm sure
what he has to say is really interesting.
I'm sure it was revelatory when it came out. I mean, I'm sure it was like it sent shockwaves, I imagine, through the British theater training system, because we know what the British theater training system still is in a lot of ways as well. And I'm sure this was night and day different for them. So this was revelatory. I also want to give a little, I'm talking, smack about this book, but like this was also the very first thing he did. And then he went on and did other things. But so maybe there's a reason that Drama Bookstore doesn't have this, or maybe there's a reason that I didn't come across it. But again, I just want to stress the point of, like, when he talks about something like status, like when he does get into some other mask things, it's actually really quite good, but it's just surrounded by detritus of fallen empires, and I kind of it took me a while to. I mean, it really took me a long time to get through this book. I usually can.
It's a hard book to get through. It's
Yeah,
not written well.
it's not written well. Like I said, because it's his first book,
Yeah.
and I really wish somebody had gone further with Status. Like there should be an entire book about
Well,
it.
Adam, that's the book that I'm writing. So
I know. I'm laying that gauntlet down for you.
it's that low hanging fruit.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna pull on.
Just a little dingleberry
Got-
for you.
Just
Yeah.
just pulling the little dingleberry down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well, that's ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary conforming individuals. There is a book that I'm writing that's dealing with status
Yes.
and character. It's really important actually because we keep talking about like his conversation on status is really really good, but it actually connects to how all contemporary writing is,
Yeah.
and all commercial writing and all film writing and all it's all there. And if you really know how to play status, it gives you so much space to explore the moment without trying to think of an objective, without working really hard for an action. It happens naturally because that's the nature of how human beings and even the creatures of this planet work. And when you understand those basics, you can really do some exciting stuff without even trying too
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
So the book is coming.
Good. Now, as you write this book, will you reference this book?
Of course.
Okay.
Well, you have to, right?
I
You
mean,
do
maybe.
no, you have to, because you have to give credit where it's due. It's like I didn't invent status. I didn't invent
Right.
status play. I didn't invent any of this. I've taken it and incorporated it and let it inspire me in another way. But you need to leave the breadcrumbs, for others to go back and nibble on and go, oh, that is problematic. Oh, that's interesting. And that's the thing. It's like, and the hardest thing now when we're dealing with scholarship is like, how many Nazis are you going to allow yourself to have referenced in your?
Sorry, I've only allowed 3 Nazis. I can't quote this German philosopher. I can't.
Right.
I have a 3 Nazi maximum in my books. Yes.
I have a half Heidegger quote
Yeah.
maximum.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's legit. And I mean, like, and like, especially since as a species we continue to keep waking up, and as we look at intersectionality of feminism, we even look at some of the feminists theories that were quite exciting and revolutionary in their time, and looking at the way that they articulate things now, it's just like, whoa. Like, for example, Camille Paglia, right? Camille Paglia was a huge, loud, aggressive feminist, white feminist, but her feminism was alienating to the intersection of the black and brown woman, and was quite racist and sexist from her point of view of that intersection of women. And like, when you look at the rape debate continued, Camille Paglia's The Rape Debate Continued. That's a really interesting chapter. And what book is that called? Chan has it. Hang on, I can grab it. Sex, Art, and American Culture. Camille Paglia. And it's The Rape Debate Continued. And she says things in this that are like, whoa. Like, for example, talking about the sexual, well, it's like what happens is she argues with uh um middle class white liberal arts school girls getting drunk and ending upstairs with a guy. And her logic around it is she talks about how it won't happen to a black girl. It won't happen to a Latina because culturally they're more sexually free in their culture, so they know better than to go upstairs. Yeah, 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 yep, yep.
I mean,
I mean, come on,
you don't need to. You could have left all that
girl,
out, and you would have got your point across.
girl. But that was her way of also yelling at young white girls and saying, if you get in my day, because she's like, in my day and age, we knew better. You can't. We knew that we couldn't. She says that she's I know that as a woman that I can't sleep alone on the deserts of Cairo.
Well, as a white guy, I wouldn't sleep alone in the deserts of Cairo, and I wouldn't advise you to come to Cairo and sleep in the deserts of Cairo either. Just don't sleep in the desert alone. It's not good.
Well, her reasoning is that she'd be raped.
I mean, it's how I feel with Keith Johnstone's of like, you could have left this out and your point would have been made. I don't know why you're using this story to make your point come across because it doesn't
Well,
age well and it just alienates an
and it's
audience.
victim blaming. It was
You're
the
right.
whole essay's victim blaming.
Yeah. By the way, we should say this. Keith Johnstone passed away 3 days ago. Yeah,
Keith Johnstone.
just passed away.
Rest in peace, Keith.
Yeah.
Wow,
Do
look
you
at that.
do you know that he invented theater sports? Like the trademarked improv thing that goes on in Chicago and Theater Olympics. Like he invented that. That's
I
his
believe it.
doing.
I believe it.
I didn't know this until I found his obituary. So that's what it was. So it'll be linked in the show notes. You can check it out. He's got his website and his foundation. He's got a TED talk. I mean, like we said, he's really revelatory information just inside very problematic stories and wording and a time and a period where this was commonplace. Yeah.
Well, see, and this is a larger conversation. So I think this is another podcast where we talk about when is it the time that a certain community of people are no longer allowed to tell the stories of a certain community of people. Like, meaning, like, do 80-year-old white men, are they allowed to write African American female stories? But we're going to talk about that in another podcast because I think because I think that like there's something there that I'd like to address because it's come up with colleagues.
Oh, that's oof. That's gonna be a yeah. That's gonna be another podcast.
That's another podcast, right? We can't digress. Okay,
Yeah.
so is there anything else that's redeeming about Mr. Theater Sports? And by the way,
He
when I hear theater sports, I think water sports. Sorry, like skiing and
right. Okay. Good. Right. Yes. Uh, I think there's a part where he talks. It's odd for the book, I think, but it is interesting. And I did highlight the sections where he's talking about the teacher's responsibility in the room, and what that relationship is, the freedom. I mean, we experienced it a little bit in Singapore of that kiasi nature in that first year where well, no, you've got to tell me what to do, and I'll do what you tell me to do, and we just no, this is you are learning. This is the experiences you regaining your child, regaining your play, and I'm definitely experiencing it in Cairo as well. That sense of society and education and religion and parents have beat them down into conformity, and then they come into an acting class, and we have to beat them back open into play.
We don't beat.
We don't beat, no, exactly, and that's kind of his whole point. Is you don't you don't chase after the bird with the breadcrumbs. You put your hand out and let the bird come to you, and then you don't treat the bird badly. You let them play. So that whole section was really kind of lovely, but it's a long section to get to status. It's a long section to get through that to that. So it was just kind of like, this would have been
And
really
the
good on its
whole
own.
section on the free writing, just cut that whole section.
I mean, any quotes, any stories, literally
So
transcribing
long and drawn
things.
out. It was like it felt like it felt like someone was actually just transcribing like a class
Yeah,
verbatim
yeah,
without any
and
editing.
and mentions of very localized actors from the UK in the 1960s and 70s that if you're not from that period or time, you don't know who they are, but he mentions them with such like, George Devine said, and then, Linda Best was known for who? I don't know these people. I've never heard of these people.
Are they even Googleable?
Maybe they are, but they're not going to be linked in the show notes.
Barbara Goods is not making it into the show notes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, using people to justify, or using anecdotes to justify, or using a lot of it was unjustified storytelling, unjustified point making, and then you get to status, and it's like, damn it, the rest of this kind of undercuts this really, really good, really interesting, really useful information, and then the rest of it's just like bad rhetoric and composition class writing essays. Like, it's, don't do that. But
Well, this is the other thing is that like it's so now we're going into my intersection. Imagine what it was like for us black and brown people, us queer female people being in and non-binary people being in a class like that with that's mostly white privilege,
yeah,
and they had the freedom to anecdote in this way.
yeah,
And it's one of those things that I often talk about, and I talk about in my chapter and Stages of Reckoning, edited by Amy Ginther.
plug.
But I talk about this. It's like we have to deal with multiple masks before we even get an opportunity to take your mask class, right? It's like you want me to go up and go into trance. Not on my watch, honey. Like, it's because that's the thing. It's just like my body doesn't even feel safe enough in those spaces to let myself be open enough to what trance actually is. I definitely recommend you read Death and the King's Horseman. I'd recommend this play all the time, when it deals with the actual British aesthetic getting in the way of an African tradition of someone actually willing themselves into death. And them calling it suicide, but it's not suicide because the whole community is functioning around it and supporting it. you know but like to in the classroom space where you have these in the invisibility for them. It's invisible. I call it invisible because they're seeped in the privilege of the white supremacist model, and so like it's invisible for them. But for us, it's like it's so fucking dangerous. It's the kind of thing of like, am I going to be murdered in this space? It literally goes into that depth of our subconscious, and so it's like, how do you expect an actor, a young person who doesn't know themselves and they don't know that this is why it's happening, right?
Yeah.
And they really want to do well and they want to connect, and you've got your hands on me, like literally, like manipulating me in a class,
Yeah.
and I and you're a big old white man.
Yeah.
Like there we go. There's another historic tradition of your rights over my body, your assumed rights over my body, your imposed rights over my body, and there's a consciousness inside of there that we we harbor when we walk into a space. So, and as you know, I'm not looking to create what an unrealistic work environment where like everyone's so afraid to touch each other. But there's just considerations that need to be made in order to understand, if you are a white person that is holding the power in a teaching space, you can't fall into the assumptions that everyone in your room is safe or feels safe. Okay, well, whew, oof. I could go on for days. I can go
Yeah.
on for hours. But I
But
think it's
okay.
time for provocations.
Well,
No, but
before,
what?
before that, so like conclusion here, we've chosen this book, we've read this book, and we're recommending this book to our listeners.
Oh, good question. Well, I think we're recommending the section on status
Yeah.
and a light read over the masks
Yeah.
and understand the difference between trance and inspired performance
Yeah.
when you're reading those things. So if we were to give, what is Galtney? Galtney has a 5-star system. What does he have?
I think he has a 5-star system.
5-star system.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we'll give these. We'll give these a 5-star system. Oh, we have a 5-star system.
5-star,
Okay,
5-star.
okay.
You give me 5-star, I give you 5-star. This book.
So
could
do
be
we have
so-
do we have sections of stars? So we'll have content, overall content,
Okay.
and overall importance.
Okay. Sure.
Content and importance.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you give it for content? How many stars?
The book or a specific chapter?
The book. We're
2.
talking about the book.
I give it 2 stars.
2 stars for content.
Yeah.
I give it, yeah, 2.2 stars for content. Are we allowed to get points?
Sure, why not?
Or it has to be full stars, so 4 stars.
No, you can give it a little,
Okay.
Little section
2.2
or so.
stars.
Okay.
2.2 stars for content.
Yeah.
And how many stars for overall?
Overall,
Contribution to,
I'll bump it up to 3.
I give it 3 stars as well.
Yeah. Now, if we were just taking out that one chapter,
Okay. So then so the third one is our favorite chapter,
status.
which was status,
Yeah.
out of 5 stars.
I'd go 4 on both, probably.
For content and overall contribution.
Yeah. Overall contribution, it could get up to 4 point something, but because it hasn't been widely adopted and understood, yeah. 4 for
No, but it's still a contribution. Whether it's been adapted is a different thing.
Sure. No, I know, but I mean, I'm not even saying adapted. I'm saying widely used, widely understood. So like, I could make the most amazing contribution in my closet, but until I take it out of the closet, it's
New York City's biggest kept secret.
right, exactly. Yeah,
Okay, so content 4 stars.
yeah,
So your status chapter, you give content 4 stars. I'm gonna say status chapter content because it's very applicable the way he says it. It's not just what he says; it's how you're able to use it.
yes,
I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars for content, and then for the overall contribution, 4 stars.
yeah. I feel good about those numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what we'll do from now on. Content contribution of the whole book. We'll find our
Mm-hmm.
favorite chapters. We might have
Mm-hmm.
different favorite chapters in it.
We
Like,
probably should. Yeah.
yeah, but this one was pretty. This one was pretty clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Given our intersections.
Mm. Wait.
So now, do you think it's time to go to
Now I think it's time to go to a
a
provocation.
break?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you know what we need.
We need some JDB.
We need some JDB. Jack David Burmester. Wow, JDB. Status and a song.
I heard those different numbers. I heard that,
Wow,
it started at a 10 status, it went down to a 1 status, to everything in between. Wow, it's just status
amazing.
all over the place.
You're amazing, Chiquina. You are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Adam Marple, do you have any
Yeah.
provocations?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
ooh,
yes,
for it.
Because I was able to experience this recently. I did, like I said, I did this in a workshop in September, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was really quite interesting. I would first read that chapter on status. Don't just jump in and do this, but we were given a kind of an improv exercise where we were given a little number on a piece of paper and a job description, and that's all I was given. And mine was receptionist. I think I had a 6 was my number between 1 and 10. And that's all I knew. I didn't know I was a receptionist where, what I was supposed to be doing. And so like I enter the scene and I go, well, I'm a receptionist, so I'll just sit at a desk and I'll just wait for something to happen. And I'll open the office. And eventually then it was a dentist office because the dentist came in and the dentist was at a status of 2. But then there was that interesting negotiation of, am I higher status or they lower status? So there's that kind of dog meet dog kind of like sniffing each other out and then realizing, oh, I'm higher than you. But then a customer came in, somebody wanting to get their teeth cleaned or whatever, and then it was a thing of like, okay, receptionist, I should be lower, but actually you're the lowest. And then it was really kind of interesting. And then once we all kind of had sniffed each other out, then it was fun. We just played. And then I had to constantly readjust. Like, what do I understand a status of 6 to be? What do they understand a status of 10 to be? And what are they using? Are they using the tropes of white privilege to be 10? Are they using money to be 10? Why are you a 2, but you are the dentist? What is it about? Like, and it was interesting to see the bodies do all those kind of things. So I would say my provocation to you is, in society, as you go about your day, can you start going like, you're a 2, you're a 3, what's my gauge of what 3 is? And just kind of play this in your head and check in with yourself as well. Don't manipulate, don't try and do those things, because we do this naturally on our own as we go, but just start to kind of understand what you recognize as lower and higher and where that gauge is for you. Because I had to really kind of go, interesting, what I think is 6, everybody else here is treating as a 4. So I need to up my status and my understanding of what status is. So that's my provocation.
Don't you love status? It makes you focus on the other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get all of your feedback from the other.
Yeah.
Makes for very, very good acting.
Yeah.
My provocation is when you're watching TV, when you're watching film, are they playing their status clearly? If they are, who's got the higher status? Does it change? Does the and then also, does the can a space have status? Can an object
Yes.
have status?
Yes.
Right? There's all kinds of fun things you can play with, but it'll all be in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Adam Marple, how will
Well,
we know
wait,
these
wait.
people?
I have
What?
one more provocation. I have one more provocation. Uh,
Uh-oh.
get a mask and go into trance. Sorry, I have to. I I had to just give one more dig. We talked so glowingly about status, and then also
Well, he can never hear this podcast, so
it's true. It's true. Ouch. Ouch.
well, that's the thing is, what do you leave behind?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I too am an ancestor.
Ooh, you are. Interesting. If only there were a place where you could be an ancestor widely distributed across the world on the top 5%
Well,
podcast.
well, I think there is an opportunity with our audio play um, submissions. The topic is I too am an ancestor, and we're still receiving
That's right.
proposals.
That's right.
Submission,
Yeah.
submit.
Yep. You can send that. You can send your play proposal. Not the play. You don't have to have the whole play, but we just need
Yeah,
an
just your idea.
idea, a little bit of writing to show us, your kind of your style, your seriousness about this, and your description of how this play fits into the topic. I too am an ancestor, and again, we will help you in every regard that you need. If you're needing help with casting, directing, dramaturgy, Jack with sound design and technical direction, for the premiere of your new audio play, 30-minute audio play in the month of November. So
Boom.
send them now. Hurry up. It's gonna be
Send them in.
closing date soon. Also, since we are talking about things that we are doing, Work with Others is also coming up soon. The writing in community workshop that Stephen Galtney will be leading. It's not a writing workshop. It's a place where writers can work and just happen to be together, and if they want to share, they can share. Writing can be a very lonely thing, and we want to provide a place where there can be community and also possible sharing of ideas. So it's also going to
Yeah,
be the
it's free. It's free,
first
y'all.
first Friday, Saturday of every month. More information also in the show notes on our website. You can contact Stephen at theatreofothers.com. Email him for a link to that. What else can we announce while we're still here?
Bali.
Bali, yes. Budi and I are going to be in Bali. We're going to be doing our training, the first Theater of Others training session. And you can join and come and live in the village and
Yeah.
do mask work, Fitzmaurice, Budi Miller Taksu training, viewpoints, directing and composition, and work with EY and Debia and some of the most
My
amazing
teachers,
artists.
all the master teachers.
Yeah, some of the most
And that's
amazing
August
artists.
19th to the 29th,
That's right.
2023.
That's right. That's
Come
right.
and play
That's
with
right.
us. Come and
Come and
play.
play with
Come and
us.
work with us.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah. Indeed.
So, what about the provocations? How would they let us know that they're doing the provocations, or if they even want to give us their review of the book?
That would be great. I mean, that's why we kind of set up this book club, was that we were all collectively working on something together. So I'm hoping that we have lots and lots of responses back to this. We'll need to do a follow up when we have all the responses, because some of it is triggering, some of it is very problematic, and some of it is really quite golden.
Yeah.
And we'd love to hear what has landed for you and what hasn't landed for you. So what you would do is you go to speakpipe.com/Theatre of Others. Again, speakpipe.com/Theatre of Others, Theatre of Others with an all one word, theater with an R-E. Leave a 90-second voice message there. If you have a little bit more to say than 90 seconds worth, you can go to podcast@theatreofothers.com. You can also communicate with us on Instagram, Facebook, and our
Monogram,
website.
y'all.
That's right. We're all over the socials. Yeah.
Yes, we are. And you have to subscribe if you want to get us into your inbox every single week. We bring you a podcast every single week. We are dedicated to getting you the most thoughtful and researched, inspired conversations around theater.
Yeah.
And if you really like us, you could leave us 5 stars, like my Uber driver. 5 star, 5 star, 5 star. 5 star, 5 star. We like the 5 stars here. So, and if you give us 5 stars, and then you might want to leave us a comment. And if you do it for every single episode,
We'll send you a hat.
some merchandise. You'll get some merchandise.
Indeed.
You'll get some merchandise. You'll get some merchandise.
We should say before we as we're heading into our outro, our next book is
Yes.
William Ball's A Sense of Direction. That's my choice.
Bill
Ball's Sense of Direction.
Balls.
It
Bill's
is
balls?
Bill's.
Oh,
no,
wow.
No.
A sense of direction?
A Sense of Direction.
Sounds very good.
Yeah. It is a shorter book. And
It's a
book
much
that-
easier read as well.
It's a much easier read, and it is it's something that I still use. It's something that I teach with, and so I actively encourage everyone to read this. We'll link everything in the show notes and give away some stuff there. So please start reading that. Join us.
Yeah.
Join us in April as we discuss that. Yes.
And Keith Johnstone, rest in peace. Rest in power.
Yeah.
Rest in power. Rest in power. It's so good to see you, Adam.
Always great to see you, Budi.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
And for the rest of y'all, we'll be back next week. Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Theatre Brothers podcast. Make sure to visit our website, theatrebrothers.org, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. A special thank you to Purple Planet for the music you've heard. The Theatre Brothers creates a shared community of artists and audiences for the purposes of exploring the most profound issues of our lives and times. We believe the play watches the audience. The audience is necessary, and they are witness to what happens. And you get to be witness to us making that happen. The purpose of this podcast is to open up our process and let you in. We're peeling back the curtain, so to speak, and encouraging you to follow along, to ponder, prod, and question, to join us and criticize us if need be. Being a witness is no passive task and requires much from you. Are you up for the journey? Be sure to tune in next week for our next journey.